It's Chris, Liege Games. Let's do this. Another week, another roundup. Now, this one's a little bit less precise. This one's also a little bit shorter this week. So, yeah, it is what it is. There are not as many launches this week as I was expecting. A little bit less name-wise dropping as well. But maybe a lull in all of these things is good, all things considered. So, if it is for you, like it is for me, I'll take it. Couple reviews out this past week. Hope they were slightly entertaining for those of you that watch them. If not, you can always check them out. As always, though, thank you for watching in the first place and putting up with me. That's enough preamble. Let's do this. First up is Slaughterville Directors Cut, Faster and Deadlier. This is a 1 to 6 player game. It's already almost funded. $12,000 of the $15,000 goal for a game I had not heard of before previously. And this is in the horror genre, if you will. Obviously, this had a first edition. This is the next iteration, the next better version, 2.0, if you will, in sort of a manner of speaking. Now, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be playing as a single character. You're deciding on a villain that you are going up against. This game comes with 10 villains in the first place. And every game, there are going to be 6 locations where each location has its own unique deck that you are going to be drawing cards from, potentially. And then the villain is going to go after each person, the active player being the person who plays as the villain that turn. And what you're going to be having here is you're going to be doing one of 3 possible actions that they talk about, and you can even repeat said actions in the first place. They talk about what the $100 base pledge, $10 print and play, and then $150 you want to ally, $250 be a character in the game, all the characters, the 12 locations, the 10 villains, everything else. So here it talks a little bit about the actions. First, you move. Go for any of the locations that's available. If you go to the one that has the villain, you're going to fight him. The second is you can exchange items, clues, or allies with any other player at the same location. And the third is the encounter that allows you to turn over one of the cards at your location. And that is where most of it is, including tests to defeat enemies, narration, and then the villain's turn. And if you deplete his entire stack, because by attacking, you draw a card from his deck, and if you can get all the way through that, that's a way that you can win. So there you go. That's the gist of the game. Again, from the horror side of things, you don't see a lot in this genre, but that is Slaughterville Directors Cut. If you're interested, check it out. Next up is Hexasperation, the Founders Edition. Now, this is a relaunch, as they say, and they've gone with a little bit more minimalistic approach because they had too high a funding goal, as well as they thought the product was just too expensive. So they're coming back at it, and they're already a third of the way funded. So what is this as sort of an abstract 2-player tile-laying-ish game? The premise of this game is that no one person has their own color or tokens or items. And so what you're going to be doing here is you're going to be putting random colors in your own home area and then using pieces in the middle to connect said color from one end to the other. And so the first one that's able to do that is going to win. You have these tiles then, the connector tiles, which have color combinations on each tile that are unique. Then you have the Harlequin tile, which connects all the colors to all the edges. Fern tile, star tile, block tile, swap tile. And so what you're doing, this is kind of a weird part of it, is you're throwing a d20 that has these on the sides, and you're getting one of these turning it either clockwise or anti-clockwise. That sounds like something I would say, a Liegeism. Swapping the tiles or flipping them over to get the other hidden feature. And then again, one makes a connection from one home tile to the matching color tile on the opposite side. They're removed from play. So then you have the connection tiles that you make from one end to the other. You then remove them. The winner is the first to remove all 4 sets from their home tiles over on the side. So that's what you're going to be trying to do. Again, there you go. Funding is what it is. What is the price point with this relaunch? $20 for the mega early bird, it says, and $27 for the early bird, and $32. Wow, that is a mega discount. What's the $47 one? Yeah. Okay. So that's Hexasperation. If you're interested, check it out. Next up is Scars and Stripes, the card game, because it's a deck builder based on your favorite Commander-in-Chief. Because don't you know who your favorite Commander-in-Chief is offhand? You know? Anyway. So what you're going to be doing here is it's a deck building game. Okay, designers, templates. Okay, so what are we actually getting here? You're getting George Smashington. In case you didn't know your favorite one was George Smashington, well, now you did, apparently. So, I mean, you can see a little bit of the 1, 2, 3, 4, and different actions are going to be used by however that happens. Drawing cards, there you go. What's included, there you go. Rules video, Game Boy Geek, and that's about it. I mean, I need more information. I'd love to see more information on there. Game Boy Geek video is great, but how am I actually playing? What else is going into this? What do I need to know beyond just the obvious, right? Give me a rule book. Give me an example of how you play. Give me just text even of how you play. It's got $1,600 raised to 5,000, so it's not insignificant, but we'll see how close it gets. It's going for full 60 days. So there you go. Scars and Stripes, the card game. Next up is The Art of Boxing Clever. Let's see. Boxing fans, 1 to 2 player punch fest of tactics and deception. It's 10% of the way funded. So what are you getting in this box heavy game? Gameplay features here. Solo mode, 1 to 2 player. Timely selection of appropriate attack and defense cards tailored to each fighter. So 10 round match, 3 scoring judges. Each round there's either attacker or defender. 2 potentially defendable attack moves, 1 to the head and 1 to an area of body, playing a sequence with bluffing and counter bluffing and deception. And here are the characters, different types of characters that you can be using. They seem to just all have different varieties of tattoos there. And game layout. So here what you're getting. Outmaneuver your opponent, inflict damage, exploiting their weaknesses. Stamina-based card system to continue to fight. Special punches, special moves per person. 8 attacking options in terms of the different attacks or the different punches like jabs or haymakers. And 4 different defensive moves like blocking and dodging and that sort of thing. Different modes. Short play, arcade mode, solo play. A couple other packs that you can be adding as well. I'm glad they have some rules. A few stretch goals. A few videos come in here. There you go. What's the price point on this one? $21. And that is the digital version. $49 is the early bird. And $63. Whew. Okay. It is what it is. And gets you everything for $77. Or no, $83 gets you even more. So, there you go. The Art of Boxing Clever. Check it out. Now, finally, here's one that I actually recognize. Ice Floes and Foes. This is a 2 to 6 player sort of dexterity, pushing fishing boats and hunters off the board, but trying to keep the animals on. It's almost a sixth of the way funded. It's a low price of 19 euros or 23 US dollars. And as I mentioned last week, it's this cutesy aesthetic. You're pushing these blocks off by putting new ones on and trying to get certain ones off and leave certain ones on. And if you can't do what that entails, then you're going to be penalized, essentially. Like if you push off the animals, I believe you just lose your turn, or your turn stops, essentially. But you want to keep the seals and the whales on because it's unpredictable. I mean, they say kids and adults are both going to be equally good at this. The deluxe version, and you're going to be getting these acrylic tiles, fishing boats, whales, hunters, seals, wood. That's 49 euros in the deluxe and 19. Whoa. 19 as the low one, although it's cardboard. I think you'd almost have to do acrylic in this one. It just looks a lot cooler. Full English rules right there. There you go. Pushing 100% straight line so that you can see. I mean, thinking creatively there, I would think always across, but straight line that way also works. Collect 5 fishing boats or hunters to win. That's it. That's it. That's the game. It's cute, very thoughtful dexterity game. I like it. It is what it is. Again, difference between cardboard and acrylic. And about what I'd expect, I guess. I don't know what acrylic actually runs, but yeah. So, a few stretch goals here. Shipping is what it is. Okay. Looks good. Ice Floes and Foes. Say that 5 times fast. Check it out if you're interested. Nice dexterity game. Next up, we have Pulp Invasion X2. The second expansion from the Pulp Invasion series. Already over 3 times its funding goal. Let's take a look at what it's offering. 5 different languages just to be at the front. Sending down landing teams to aid in your search for super weapons to prevent the cosmic hegemony from their plans. Add new stuff, helpful landing team, captains, planets, super weapons. Okay. I have no clue on this side of things. 1 to 2 players. This is definitely outside of my ilk. It's going for the old school, like 40s, 50s vibe. Again, more captains. I have no clue what any of those symbols mean. This is definitely, you know, in the single player crowd, I think. And more of everything that's in the base games just to provide more stuff, it looks like. Draft of the rules here, a couple video reviews, playthroughs. Okay, so 12 euros, both expansions 22. And is this everything then? 39 euros. Try the game. Okay, straightforward. Shipping's there. That's it. Won't speak too much more into it, but I know the solo crowd is definitely apparently interested in this. 603 people and $16,000 is nothing to laugh at. So if you liked Pulp Invasion, if you're looking for something new, something with an old school space theme, check it out. Next up is Distilled. This is already like 6, 7, 8 times its funding goal already with 1,800 people. It was one of my pre-picks of the week just because when I was looking at the mechanisms, the strategy of it is definitely applied thematically in terms of distilling part of the top and the bottom of the actual whiskey or spirits in this case. And they do that in terms of the deck. Now, again, it's a press your luck style of things, so you just need to be aware of that. Now, it's also going as a Euro game, and it's definitely, you know, I guess mitigating your luck and pressing your luck. I don't always associate with Euros, but again, this is a game where with these cardboard Edisons, I mean, they have a relatively good reputation for putting out decent games. So in terms of they're tested, they're played through, they're, you know, graded essentially. And so the quality is there. This isn't one of the question marks in that sense. $55. Okay, you're getting all this stuff, 350 cards. Okay. $85. You're getting an expansion with it. And stretch goals with metal coins. It's been a while since I've seen some metal coins, right, guys? Anyway, a lot of quotes. Okay, here we go. The gameplay, the phases that you're going to do. And I love seeing the animations like this. I think that's cool of how you're going to be actually playing it. So what are you doing here? 7 rounds. Each round has 4 phases. Market phase, you're getting stuff, you're aging stuff, you're distilling stuff, and then you're selling it. I won't read this verbatim, so you can kind of just look at it yourself here on the page. How to play video, I mean, great. Rulebook, and everything that you need to know. I mean, the question just is, besides all of the quotes, everybody is on this page. And I guess, yeah, this is why. This is the question. Because, I mean, yeah, this is definitely an indie project. I mean, this was, unless I had, you know, not been doing this, I probably wouldn't have heard of this one before. $15 plus the 55 is 70. So you're saving money with the full pledge here if you really want the metal coins. Otherwise, you're better off probably, you know, buying them separately with just the expansion and the original blend. I like that they don't content lock that, so you don't have to get it. Funding goals, okay. Free mini expansion for all backers. That's really going to be the issue and the incentive. So if they have another one of these mini expansions that's Kickstarter exclusive, then I'd say, you know, without a doubt, you back this on Kickstarter. Because if it raises a couple $100,000 on Kickstarter, it's going to show up at a retail presence in some form. Now, granted, there are exceptions, but in some form it just may not be complete like this. That's the risk you run. And even with some of my smaller indie games that I have, I mean, I've seen some of them pop up, but just not nearly as prevalent, or it's harder to get some of those expansions and things like that. So all in all, I'd say this looks like a very solid game. Now, you're going to be not getting it until the end of 2022, so that's a ways off. That is a year and a half for a non-miniature game. That's a lot. But, you know, so be it. And, you know, maybe that's under promise, over deliver too. So there you go. That is Distilled. Check it out if you're interested. Next, we have Blood of the Northmen with the new Test of Faith expansion, and it's already almost twice its funding goal. This is sort of a miniature with skirmish, and now there's a solo mode, it's saying, and a team versus team mode. I know next to nothing in this game. I just have seen people sort of commenting about it in the periphery. So what is it actually doing? Unique mechanics of using tiles not seen in other games. You're getting a little bit of everything else new right here in the expansion. A new tile here. Solo mode, as I mentioned, the team versus team mode. A little bit of everything miniature-wise. Kickstarter edition is coming with a few extras there. The miniatures especially there. So they're showing you everything that you need to see. So how do you actually play? Add a tile to the map. You can recruit warriors to that tile. depends on the sides of the added tile, and you move them based on with the lakes. So it's definitely different. I have definitely not seen that mechanic. I think the comment section, though, when I looked at it in Board Game Geek, the comment section were very mixed because they said that the first edition of this, the rules were not very good whatsoever, and it really hampered getting it played and getting it to the table in the first place. But it looks like essentially what type of tile you're laying in that sense determines what your characters are doing and how they're moving. So that is an interesting mechanic. I haven't seen that before. And what is the pledge going to cost you? Just the expansions, 35 euros, 50 euros for the base game with the Kickstarter edition unlock stretch goals, and 50 euros, 80 euros for both. Is that in savings? 5 euro savings. Okay. Okay, this is the stretch goals for the original campaign. Okay. Bunch of videos. Again, this is, the skirmish miniature games are definitely not for me. But the question is going to be, I think, from those comments, like, okay, have you upgraded the things that were criticized the last time? So I don't see necessarily comments to that, but that would be my hope if you're looking at this game as a skirmish-style game with a definitely different hex-based mechanic. So that is Blood of the Northmen with its new expansion, Test of Faith. Next up, we have Soul Raiders, the one I was more hyped for this week in terms of the things that were launching. It's already over its funding goal. It's not nearly as high as I thought it was going to be, but I think it's not what people necessarily want. It is card-driven, tactics-driven, as opposed to miniature-driven. And the question is, okay, well, the price point is probably reflective of that. And the price point for even the standard edition is still $83 or $131. And that $131 is a massive thing for something that's non-miniature based. And you're getting more of this Grimoire box and some of these other miniatures. And the Grimoire edition for $131 here, it has the miniatures, but they're not as essential as I think they could be, that maybe people like in other games. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a lot of money difference, $50 difference there. And this base pledge price at $83 is a little more than I would have thought. But as I've talked about it several times, this is adventures. You have magical powers. You're fighting off enemies, particularly spirits. And it's by Marc-Andre, from the guy who did Splendor. And the artwork is fantastic from these other guys here that I'm not going to embarrass myself or mess up their name and insult them, but the artwork is absolutely top notch. Now, again, for 800 cards, I mean, I guess that's what you're getting for the $83 price point. But again, I think the stretch goals are going to determine this one, because when I was scrolling through this earlier, I didn't see a whole lot that was enticing me to say, why do I need this now? Because I'm looking at with an eye and a scrutiny that I have not in the past, and why I have not backed very solid games that I'm very interested in on Kickstarter for that reason up until this point. So I like the fact that this is, they focusing on the flow of this game. There are 3 set chapters, and there are scenarios within each of these chapters, and the game changes based on the location, the enemy's behaviors, and the situations that you're facing. And what you're doing here, now it says it's never going to see shelves on a retail store. So take that for what you will. Direct sales is the question, because I see a lot of that nowadays with a lot of campaigns, and I just go, well, are you just going to sell from your website then? Is that all that means? Because, I mean, they kind of put this disclaimer, well, we may have some extra copies. If it comes from us to you guys, that's what we're looking to do. So if you're looking at that, I mean, I just kind of wish... That's becoming the terminology nowadays. Anyway. Gameplay, it's less about the action, more about how you're utilizing these cards on these double-sided maps, as you can also play independently, cooperatively. So you are not linked to a group, and you can do different things dynamically all at the same time, and not being beholden to someone else's turn before you can go. And that's the main storytelling thing. And it says that in those chapters that I mentioned, 40 different locations, and you're using all of these icons to go wherever you need to go to match up what you may need to do. And this is where the action comes in, where you're using these cards and the abilities then to fight creatures. There's, like it said, no player turns, and you have many, many possibilities of how you're using these cards. So I'm probably going to be tuning into one of these videos very shortly. I think Board Game Co. has a video down here, or Quackalope, and I'm going to be checking that out. And that's probably going to be the biggest determiner for me, is whether or not I'm going to back it, as well alongside of the stretch goals. So I mean, the production, the art, all of that is great. Now, the miniatures, again, I'm happy with standees, I've said previously. So I would pick up maybe the lower edition, but if you're looking for, you know, resaleability, you know, definitely the Grimoire edition is going to be the one to be focusing on. Locations, card size, what's in the Grimoire here. They talk about it's magnetic and the components are stored safely, translucent miniatures along with the regular ones, metal coins, lore book, all of that stuff is add-on at this point. A lot of how to play, some tutorial. I just think it's something different and something that would be really easy to get to the table. You can check out the rules here, and you know I'm going to be doing that before it ends and doing it from that side of things. And the question is just going to be, again, how much do you want to play these replayable story type games? Are you happy doing Seventh Continent for the nth time on the same curse? Are you happy if this story gives you a completely different outcome depending on how you choose to move through it, if there are really that much location options, essentially? So, and it says, I mean, you can play it that many times. And do you like to do that or not? I think that's maybe the biggest back or don't back thing. So they want it to be challenging. Each chapter takes about 2 to 4 hours, and you'll need 2 or 3 runs at it to even get through it. Now that's the thing is, what if you do it really well the first time? You spend 2-3 hours doing it, 2-3 hours doing it, 2-3 hours doing it, you get 10 hours total. Is 10 hours worth this, even if you really enjoy it? And that's the other question you have to ask yourself. Because there's always that person in the comment section, right? That's like, I beat Aeon's End on hard mode without any difficulty, and I did everything random, and I was, of course, playing by all the rules correctly. And you're just like, well, that's awesome. The rest of the 99.5% of us didn't do that. But this is Soul Raiders. This is what you're getting, and this is what you need to be aware of. It talks through the chapters down here at the bottom, talks through the kinds of enemies and adversaries and the story elements. Again, like I mentioned, there's tons of video down here at the bottom, so you can get it in any language of your choosing. So, again, okay, here are the stretch goals. New heroic action cards, new content and potions, and we'll kind of see what else comes up. But I've got it saved already. I'm going to be checking out the rulebook. I'm going to be checking out some of the videos. But that's Soul Raiders. That's why I'm excited by it. We'll see if I end up backing it or not. Next up, Volfyrion Guilds, the expansion to the deck building game from the Mysthia universe. Now this is a 1 to 4 player, it says. I guess I would wonder, okay, and it says right there, 4 player though requires 2 decks. So this is really a 1 versus 1 deck builder. I mean, that's sort of like saying, you know, BattleCon right here. Oh yeah, you can play that with 4 people. I don't know anybody, and I'm sure, again, in the comment section, somebody's gonna be like, I play BattleCon with 4 people, but the rest of them, again, 99.5% of the people are probably like, I play it with 2. And that's really what a lot of these are, and that's where you have to decide, okay, am I willing to buy this 2-player deck building game where you're going head-to-head? They have an early bird offer here that's going to be available well past the time this video is posted. You're getting these colorful tokens in the box, and, you know, it's a Mysthian universe. And have you bought into it? Have you not? They've really structured, Tabula Games has everything around their games within this universe having different mechanics and different mechanisms, but staying with the very much same theme. Okay, and they're getting unlocks here on the daily side of things. Couple quotes, artwork, pledge levels, here you go. So the retail edition, what is that, 14 euros? The little thing's loading right there. And 2 monster cards, tarot size, the token printed. 24 euros gets you the more exclusive stuff, 2 additional monster cards, Wonders Pack. I mean, so you're going for the 24, right? You're going for the 24. There's not really any question there with all the exclusive stuff. Yeah. All of these expansions. Wow. Is this like another 46? Okay, that's a ton more stuff. All of these expansions, the ones that aren't Kickstarter exclusive. Now, the question is, again, with some of this stuff, this Champions Pack that I didn't see up here, is that content locked? And how many of those expansions do you need? No idea. So, again, 55 gets you pretty much everything. 68 gets you all of everything, including a miniature, apparently. So, yeah. It's a lot of stuff. Again, this is the whole reason I didn't back Arkham Wars, is I wanted everything, and the price point for like 93 bucks was just way too much for what it was, knowing that I wasn't going to be able to play it too much, and that's my biggest problem with some of these 1v1s. I mean, I love the ideas of these, and I'd love to play this, but I'm just not sure I'd ever be able to play it, because 1 versus 1 is not where we focus. Man, these guys are busy. Man, they have almost every single big game every single week. That's impressive. That's a lot of time. Anyway, again, a lot of videos out there. Goes through the cards, goes through the mechanisms a little bit here with the rule book. Now, I guess the question is whether or not this is just deck building or is this also deck construction? That's the thing I haven't seen. Because if you're just adding these expansions, can you just throw in all of the expansions? And that's just me not being familiar with this. Although if I read the rules or, looked at the things from that side of things, I'm assuming this is actually deck building and not deck construction. So, and that's why it actually is something that I would be interested in. So, there we go. Clicking to vote so they get a little bit of interaction with the backers. Get more content. Rewards announced weekly. Yeah, I mean, this is solid. I can see why this is well liked, and I can see why people are interested in this. Again, I don't think I'm going to pay, almost $100 for a deck builder that's only 2 players, though. That's just me personally. I just can't afford that with the knowledge that it's probably not going to get to the table. If I had, a gaming partner, if my 7-year-old was super hyped about something like this, I'd be all over it. But that's just not their ilk right now, and my wife is definitely not interested in something like this. So for me to buy it, it would sit on the shelf and collect dust. But a lot of people like it. It's going to be, probably a couple 100,000 as well. And that's Volfyrion Guilds from Tabula Games. Check it out. Next up is 1947, and this is an 18XX game based in the Indian Railways. So if you're familiar with 18XX at all, this is just a different theme, different location, and I'm assuming some different mechanics. I know next to nothing about 18XXs, so I'm just going to show you that they're almost 2/3 of the way funded, and we'll just give you a brief glance at what it's actually doing here. I have no idea what any of this means. I have no idea who any of these people are, but I know a lot of you guys like talking about this heavier style of games, and the railway games are just, again, not completely something I delve into, and I'm okay with that. But I wanted to mention it at least, and they've got a bunch of stuff here for stretch goals if they unlock them, upgrades in terms of components. It just looks like, essentially, which from what I know, 18XX games really could use that because they are really bare bones in that sense, and they also tend to be relatively expensive. Let's check what the pledge level is out of curiosity. Yeah, $107. I did not know that. I did not look beforehand. So there you go. They'll offer you $12 discount if you get 2. So there you go. 1947. Check it out. Last up this week, we have GameFound, and this is platformer. My review came out earlier. This is definitely a very unique game. It uses heavily this gravity mechanic, which honestly is very unique. But this is also a game that not everyone is going to like. This is definitely on the lighter side of things. It's taking the literal platformer type of video game where you are Mario, going up and trying to avoid the bottom of the screen. And this uses that mechanic. And I like the fact that they're just straightforward. Why are you backing this now? Get the whole bunch of extra that's not going to be there. And, the blessing and curse that it is. But if you get the Awakened Realms games, whether the main or the light style of things, and from what I remember even of the other light style of publications, that stays true either way. Like, you back the core, you get a good value. Now, again, it's not for everybody because this is definitely take that. It's this strange, different mechanism that you really have to get used to because the interactions of the gravity as you're going and the manipulation of your enemies, which, again, we're not used to doing. Like, you manipulate where your enemies are on your turn. And you have to make your way up to kill the boss. And again, this is the other aspect of things. This is a kill steal game. So it's not the first person up there. It's not the first person to fight. It's the first person that gets the last hit that actually KOs the boss. The gravity mechanic and the tile mechanic comes into play here because as you're going up, if somebody is 2 levels below you or when 2 levels below you happens, those get flipped back over and they're lost. So you can't go back down. And if you fall, you're taking damage in these scenarios. So let's take a look at what's actually here. Okay, inside the box, the Grand Overlord miniature. These are the bosses, I'm assuming. Character minis, character cards, a little bit of everything there. Okay, so where are we getting to the good stuff here? Now, they are going with the tokens. It looks like from my review, too, I wasn't sure if they were going with the acrylics. These monster tokens being like these little round acrylic tokens, which were really nice, actually. They slid really well on the cards just to manipulate them around. I actually liked them, and they were easier to maneuver than the miniatures themselves. 44 euros for that pledge. New monster set is going to be the daily unlock on day 3. New character here, solo mode. So what are you doing? Okay, I talked about the gravity mechanic in terms of you move them over and then you fall down. and you can fall through too. So I mean, you can see the platform there and the ladder. So if you're not on a platform or a ladder, you really have to be careful. Bad encounters, you know, why not push a monster into your enemies? So that is another way that you're going to be interacting. The random map is either going to frustrate you or just make it kind of cool. Now, the one thing I said in my review too is when you play with the number of columns equal to the number of players, essentially -1. And so with 2 players, you do 1 column. In 3 players, you do 2 columns. I think I personally preferred more columns. 1 column was a little bit tight, a little bit less maneuverable. And with 3 people in 2 columns, I think that, or 4 people, is really the sweet spot. Archenemy, again, you're going to the top. You're trying to, again, buy these weapons, buy these potions in order to get them. But resources are relatively tight. Not in the sense that you can't get them, but it's a race. So how much time do you want to spend doing this when all it matters is you get up there and kill her first? Shipping. I'm interested to see what else is going to be revealed. So again, because I wanted to see more variability, especially in terms of the monsters. So we'll kind of see how it goes and what is the difference between the retail and the pledge level now. Because it says you're going to get more, but it doesn't say necessarily, as far as I could tell, what the slight difference was. So if you're interested, check it out. That is Platformer. Okay, that's it. Super simple, super straightforward roundup this week, a little shorter than usual. Hey, I'm always okay with that. Now, next week, there will not be a roundup. I am on vacation next week. I am going to have very limited computer access. I'll have a couple videos that will be ready to go at that point, like randomly throughout the week, sort of to give you a little mention here and there so you don't go through full-on Liege withdrawal. But there will be no roundup next week, so I might like do a double the following week and just pare it down and have just some of the more recognizable or just more funded games or things that have maybe caught my eye. Not every single thing that's out there. I might just pare it down in that sense. But again, the end of July is really going to be hitting after I come back. It's, you know, just going to ramp up. So there's a lot of stuff coming. I may, if I have time, I may try and get out a Monday morning hotness quarterback for Monday. We'll see. Just kind of happens or not, depending on my schedule. I'm working all weekend too, so I hope you're not. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for making it this far. Hopefully this was shorter and more entertaining, or less entertaining. I don't know. Hopefully this was shorter and gives you more time to spend doing other stuff the rest of the day. So, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for clicking. Stay classy. Have a great weekend.